I adored my grandmother. I adored my grandmother. I can still hear her saying with pride, my oldest grandchild. It didn't matter if it was the first time she introduced me to someone or the 5th time. She always was going to introduce me as her oldest grandchild. So as the oldest grandchild, I'll tell you straight up, as the younger generation would say, that Moore had a good and full life. Now some of you might be thinking, he's only saying that because she lived to be 102. Or maybe you're saying to yourself, how could he even say that? She never had a big house or financial wealth, and she surely wasn't famous. And you would be right. She didn't have any of those things. So let's talk about what she did have. Moore had the 2 things that money can't buy: good health, and she was loved. She had good health, living 102 years and never having major surgery, no chronic illness, no heart or kidney failure. All the money in the world can't buy you good health. Moore had good health. And secondly, she was loved. Everybody loved Annie Mae. We've all heard the expression, to know her is to love her. Everybody loved Annie Mae. I believe the Beatles said it like this: money can't buy you love. You do know that there are people who leave this earth every day and never know what it feels like to be loved. Moore was loved by family and friends. You see, there was an easiness about her. She was easy to talk to. She was easy to be around. And she was easy to love. And the truth of the matter is that not all of us are easy to love. Moore was easy to love. When Governor Christie of New Jersey was running for office, one of his opponents said this about him: watch what he does and not what he says. I would suggest to you that that's how Moore lived her life. So let's say, watch what she does and not what she says. I'm not suggesting that she was shy or introverted, but she wasn't a highly opinionated woman, nor a controversial woman. Remember, she had an easiness about her. So let's look at what she does. I remember when Cousin Dora died, and if my memory serves me correctly, the story goes something like this. Moore and Condora were raised as sisters from young girls, and they remained very close up until adulthood. Condora never married, never had any kids, and lived well into her 90s. Well, when the news came to Moore that Cousin Dora had died, the family had said, well, since Cousin Dora didn't have any kids or immediate family, they just take the hearse and drive past the church instead of having a funeral. And Moore was not going to have it. So she approached 3 out of her 7 children and asked them if they would drive her to Florida. And for some reason, each one of them said they couldn't do it or they wouldn't do it. And Moore's response to each of them was, Condora was good to us. You see, Moore was always about doing the right thing. Sometimes in life, you just have to do the right thing. How could she not go? I remember once visiting with Tiny and Cotton, and Tiny shared with me one of many stories about the move from Georgia to New York. This time she said that before Moore left Eatonton, she went to all the white business establishments that she owed money to let them know that she was moving, but that she would continue to pay her bills. She said because when she came back to town, she didn't want to have to be running and hiding from people. So let's just examine what she did. Here is a black woman, born in 1910, and lived through the racial injustices in the South. Now she could have easily said, I ain't paying these folks nothing. Later for them, I'm out of here. But you see, Moore was a woman of integrity. She had given her word to these people, and her word was her bond. Her word meant something to her. The New York Times had a caption last year that said this: isn't living a life of integrity as praiseworthy as fame and money? She was a woman of integrity. She was about doing the right thing. She was loved. And she was a spiritual woman, a woman of faith. She often said, "I just asked the Lord to let me see all my children become grown." Well, we all know that prayer was answered. But I remember once when the family was dealing with a challenge, as all families do from time to time. I recall sitting at the kitchen table with her, discussing the matter, when she said to me, "Howard, the Lord ain't going to put more on me than I can bear." And she said it in a way that I knew that she believed it. She was a woman of faith. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention her wonderful sense of humor. If you've ever watched any of the Southern classic movies, such as Gone with the Wind, then you know that it was the Southern black women who made the movies with their humor, with their expression of "honey child," "bless your heart," or as Aunt Lucinda would say, "Child, hush your mouth." Moore was no exception. Except I don't think she knew how funny she was. Let's just start with one of her classic lines. Whenever you took her someplace and she was ready to go, she wouldn't say to you, "I'm ready to go." She'd say, "I'm ready whenever you are." And that was her clue. Or what about the occasion when I would stop by once unannounced and rang the intercom, and she said, "Who is it?" And I responded, "Annie Mae, it's Buddy Willard." And she buzzed me right in. When I got upstairs, I said, "Moore, did you know that it was me?" She said, "I didn't know who it was, but I knew it wasn't no Buddy Willard." You see, Buddy Willard died years ago. Or how about the time when Tommy called to tell her the good news that her and Cotton had gotten married after cohabitating? And Moore's response was, "Well, at least now it's respectable." And then this one just cracked me up recently when I visited and Curtis happened to be home this time, and he looked at her in the face and said to her, "Do you know who I am?" And she replied, "Of course I know who you are. I'm old, I ain't stupid." I'd just like to conclude by reading this card, which I think exemplifies her life. This is one of two cards that I think I purchased about 5 years ago for Mother's Day. But upon reading the words, I then decided to keep it and present it as a tribute and testimony to her life. And it goes like this. Her world was not one of college degrees and career choices. Her wisdom came from living. She worked hard to make ends meet, facing life challenges with optimism, determination, and her amazing strength of spirit. Her victories were food on the table and children who grew up right. Today, Moore, you are honored for all the years you have been the heart of our family. Today, your children and grandchildren proudly stand as your legacy to the world. We love you.